also that dude with the mech suit had a top hat. That was pretty cool.
But like
that's his character.
And I for one, I have now a habit that I can separate usually what I thought of the game from what the streamers' thoughts about the game, and make my own decision via that. And usually, sometimes I would like to know streamers' opinions about the game. So that's why I usually leave the audio up so I can hear what's their opinion about their game.
Right.
And whether or not is my biases with them or against them, and figure out different perspectives from there.
Like the only people I watch not on stream are the people who suit my comedic taste in terms of humor.
Yeah.
And who have tons of banter. But if that's the case, if that's the reason why I'm watching them, I'm not even gonna watch the game that they're playing. I just leave them on the background and I just listen to how they play.
you
I like how it's all video or all audio.
Yeah. That's what it's like for me.
Nice. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna hard segue us into the intro. Hello, everybody. This is Johnny J and Edric in that order. And what are we doing today, Edric?
Well, in the light that the Halloween's coming up in the next week, I want to talk about fears.
Shit.
Fears.
All right, this is the episode where I walk out. Actually, I'm gonna just grab my coffee.
Just gotta go grab your coffee.
I'm not walking out. Just grab my coffee.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. What's up?
Yeah, so I want to talk about fears and what you feel like is spooky or scary, or things that you generally, what your reactions are when you encounter something spooky or scary.
I immediately have a coping mechanism.
Which is?
Actually, this only applies to mostly just like entertainment mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, which is, let's say, like, if I'm watching a horror movie, I think I said this before, but like, if I'm watching a horror movie, I'm like, and if things get scary, I immediately like try to pull myself out of the movie, like break my immersion by changing my perspective. Like, let's say, like,
so you like stand up?
No.
Or you
not literally, but like let's say, like,
'cause
there's like a movie scene where like the main character is like walking down a creepy hall, and there's like
there's like complete dead silence.
And no, like, you can see, like, oh yeah, sure. And then I like to picture that, but from like the director's seat, like how he sees it.
So
like,
you try to
break the immersion by changing like
by
the
putting
camera.
yourself in the actual logistics of the film and how it was done.
Yeah.
Because the way I break immersion is I mute it. Like, I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it.
The only reason why it's spooky is because the atmospheric noise is making it spooky.
I do the same, but I also close my eyes.
you literally break all forms of senses.
Yeah, that's my breaking of my immersion. Like, I want to also shut off my senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that things are spooky because it's just
You're too immersed.
Too immersed.
Yes.
That's exactly it. When you get too involved, too invested emotionally, I feel like that's my breaking point.
And for scary games, because I can't change my camera,
I hate scary games.
my perspective cameras,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I can do with the director's seat. I turn on my lights.
You turn on the lights.
Like I did with my
turning on the lights does nothing to me.
It definitely helps.
I myself just stop playing the game and just walk away. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, like this
I have actual physical reactions. Like I'll move
really?
further away from the.
even though, like,
I mean, you saw me drive when
the pixel on the screen can't hurt you.
Yeah, I know. it's more so the fact that you're willing to suspend your disbelief and really partake in the game for you to, like, freak out.
I think little things like even turning on the lights for me definitely help. And I start treating the game like a speedrun,
So
like Amnesia.
Those are like spooky survival fears. What about like food?
Food fear, like getting poisoned.
I don't know. Do you have like an irrational fear of specific food?
No, absolutely not. Actually,
what do you mean by irrational fear of food?
I mean, like, I have a rational fear of fugu fish because I know, like, people poison them to kill you.
And you're never going to eat them in Edmonton.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Where we live.
And you can't even eat them in the first place. You're allergic to it.
Yeah, but like,
you're allergic.
There are people who are, deathly ill to peanuts and stuff. And
Yeah,
they must have a fear of peanuts.
Well, I wouldn't use the word fear. They just
if you're
avoid
deathly ill to something.
Like, you mean by like allergies?
Like asphyxiation. because
Well, I think you'd
throat
be
swells
afraid.
up.
I think you'd be afraid of the asphyxiation, not the.
But the thing that causes is its
But that's
penis.
completely avoidable, though.
But would you not still fear it?
What is well
Right?
in that context?
Like,
it's-
okay, look, swimming in the deep end.
Yeah.
I'm scared of deep water because I can't swim well.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I can completely avoid it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I suddenly lose all fear of the deep end.
You know what? That's
Okay,
a good
sure,
point.
no, you
That's a
have
good
good
point.
I'm still scared of the deep end.
I still. I think my brain is just downplaying the whole thing for allergies, even though I know that like some people are like literally deathly allergic to them. But
Why?
like, I think my brain, because when I
Food doesn't seem too
No, I
specifically
think-
terrifying. as a whole.
that and like my general view of allergies, like it's not gonna kill people. Even though I know a part of me knows that some people
you just have
can
a
literally die
dissonance.
for it.
Yeah, there's
Like,
just a dissonance there.
yeah,
It's dissonance
think-
because I think you never had
think that's the
experience of it.
I've had allergic experience.
No, I'm saying you've never been in a precarious
Precarious
situation
situation
where
where-
like someone's mortal well-being was on the line
Right.
because
Oh.
they came into contact with something that was
Yeah.
lethal.
Compared to me and Edger,
What do you mean?
allergies.
I've seen this guy on his deathbed before.
I've
I know what I know
I've
what
had
allergies can
severe
do.
like discomfort, like
Yeah.
puking and like
Being on your
itching
deathbed.
and vomiting, but like I've never actually, choked to the point where I need like an EpiPen or I die.
Yeah.
But I still like empathize with people who like,
True.
have it that bad.
Right. That's so sweet.
But it's fear. Or like yeah, what about that? You say I like that fear.
No. I just had a sip and I
Yeah.
poured a whole bunch of sweets in it, so it's just very
That's-
sweet.
Yeah. Why don't you have a rational feel with sugar?
Because I'm not allergic to it,
But like
and also I'm rationalizing
that's-
that sugar's not gonna hurt me.
it's not going to hurt you, even though heart disease is the #1 killer in all of people in every single culture, and sugar is one of the main reasons why people get heart disease to begin with.
The high
What may?
diabetes
like-
is the largest.
I'm saying like you're not scared of allergies for the same reason as
I'm not afraid of sugar.
you're not afraid of sugar because you haven't really made the tangible link between the two.
I can't. It's not a 1-to-1. All right, I'll stop making that joke,
Yeah.
or try not to make that joke. But yeah, I think I just need to.
Because I, for one, am completely understanding of the fact that I love eating fatty foods. I know it will kill me, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a fear of it.
Yeah, like me not being afraid of sugar.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other things that are like that, where it's like this is not good for you, but you don't have a fear of it at all.
Well, like, here's the thing. I think we don't really fear it because the whole.
There's no like visceral feeling.
No, it's because there's no instant consequences.
Yeah, visceral. There's no visceral reaction or consequence.
Yeah. There you go.
Right? Because like, can you imagine the amount of people who wouldn't smoke cigarettes if 1 in every 10,000 or 1 in every 1,000 cigarettes someone's head blew up? Because that's
Visceral.
No, statistically speaking, that's what's happening with lung cancer.
Oh, but really?
One in 10,000 people will
Not
die.
10,000.
1,000?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something.
Something along the lines of that. We'll get,
We'll get lung cancer and die a terrible, terrible long death.
but it's a chronic death.
I wouldn't say chronic. I would say incremental.
Incremental, yeah. Whereas the explosion head is probably as
more
dead,
visceral.
is more visceral, but it's as deadly as cancer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because the end game is death.
Or like, can you imagine the amount of people who would like participate in a lottery so that you wouldn't die?
I get that.
Right?
I understood that reference.
It's
It's a short story thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's way more visceral that way, right?
Yeah, because
But I'm saying sugar is the same thing. Fatty foods is the same thing.
once again,
Driving
whole-
is the same
Cigarettes,
thing.
driving is the same thing. Like people have this terrible, terrible irrational fear of planes and auto, like self-driving vehicles and stuff. Despite there being much more risk involved by you driving your own vehicle.
right. I think it's because they trust their own skills over a skill of a trained pilot,
Yeah,
like an airplane.
but then
pilot.
at that point, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you have no idea the potential risk involved.
Your assumption of how good you are
Also,
always
I think
Because you're so ignorant
Yeah,
of how
ignorant,
good you
yeah.
can get at the thing.
Also, statistically, planes are safer than cars.
Yeah, they're safer than cars.
Yeah.
They're safer than pretty much any mode of transport. It's just
even boats. Boats are pretty sturdy, except for Titanic.
Yeah.
That's a unique case, John. That's a very unique case.
Yeah, big old iceberg. That's really sad.
It wasn't the iceberg. It was more so the
sinking.
Not the sinking. The
whole.
The unaware.
Oh, yeah.
The ignorance, because like they couldn't see the iceberg because illusions are the way like the light refracted off of the sea. So
I thought it was
the iceberg.
The illusion. It disguised the iceberg, and by the time they knew the iceberg was there, they hit it.
Yeah.
And icebergs tend to be a lot larger from underneath than above.
Yeah.
Sure. That too.
I haven't seen Titanic in a long time. Do you think that's an accurate representation of what happened?
Titanic, the movie?
Yeah, the movie.
I feel
that's completely dramatized.
Yeah, that's completely dramatized.
No, like I'm not talking about like
what's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio definitely should have fallen off that ship when he like carried Kate Winslet.
No, I'm not talking about the relationship between the two main characters. I mean like how the boat
I don't know.
Hit the iceberg.
It's been so long since I watched that movie.
Yeah, me too.
So I have no idea.
How the boat hit it? Look, all I know is the boat hit an iceberg.
I know.
That's all you need to know. I think everything else is probably dramatized.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah.
Like I specifically remember the boat splitting in
how
half.
about why don't you fear the things that you don't see? So on the topic of icebergs.
Because I don't see it.
So there's no need to fear it.
What do you mean by don't see?
I have
like the possibility of an asteroid's hurling toward the Earth.
If I die. If I get hit by an asteroid, that's very unfortunate for me.
Well, I mean, you say hit by an asteroid.
Or dying of radiation.
Yeah, that too.
That would really suck.
That would suck.
I just hate the moment of my flesh being melted off my body. Like,
what do you mean the moment? That would be like instantaneous. You wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know that.
No, I'm talking more about like radiation poisoning.
Oh.
Why would radiation poisoning lead you to have flesh melting off your body?
What came to that conclusion?
That's all I know from the medium, like movies, games that I saw.
No, radiation poisoning is like your cells disintegrating and like not being able to repair themselves because fundamentally the DNA's been damaged.
Yeah, and then that's why the skin melts.
No. You develop like tumors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have skin melting would occur when you were like close to the blast zone and like the thermal radiation at that point would like
so hot that it starts melting your skin.
Yeah. I thought wouldn't that just like skip right to just you're on fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's burning. That's not melting skins off.
That's what thermal radiation is.
Yeah. But like this whole misconception that radiation is gonna cause
skin
my
melting,
skin to melt.
Like
no.
Like how?
It's based on the things that I've known already.
So how do you get skin to melt? That's the question. You can't.
Radiation poisoning.
There needs to be no oxygen in the atmosphere.
Yes.
Wait.
So then your skin will become liquefied.
Are you telling me in the vacuum of space?
Yeah.
Your skin melts off.
You quite literally. Well, I mean, you wouldn't melt off. You would freeze.
You freeze.
Exactly. Right?
There's no thermal energy.
Unless you're in direct contact with like the solar
sun.
winds.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
But yeah.
So you won't become like the Fantastic Four, but rather like a melted.
No, they didn't get hit by the solar winds. They got hit by the gamma waves.
That is the solar winds.
The solar waves. They went into a rocket, flew into space, and then got hit by solar waves.
Oh, I thought.
Right.
Solar winds.
With solar winds
is the radiation coming off of the sun.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be thermal heat, but generally speaking, it is thermal heat via like the radiation of gamma waves. And
right.
Stuff.
I think
part of the electromagnetic.
I think we got derailed a little bit.
We totally did.
Yeah.
Fear.
I'm sorry.
What about like cosmic fear?
Oh yeah.
The fact that you're so
actually,
some people have that fear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a part of me was afraid of that. It's like, wow, what if there was something greater out there? It's like if it. I think I'd like to believe that such things exist, like a greater power, just great beyond, but they either don't care about us or can't reach us.
I'm talking about cosmic fear in the sense that like whatever you leave behind is not going to leave a meaningful impact on it.
Oh, that
like some people genuinely
genuinely are scared of the fact that no one's going to remember them.
I'm
That's
okay.
a-
With, I'm
that's
okay.
a pretty
that's
I'm okay with that.
existential fear, right?
yeah, and so they'll do out of their way just to create a legacy or make
Or
a
like
legacy.
shoot a bunch of people so that they'll die.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on Mixer. Probably shouldn't talk about
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Right.
I mean, like you know,
Actually,
there's a lot of people who
my roommate is kind of has that.
are in an existential crisis right now, where he
No,
has a
just like
fear.
the dread thing,
the existential dread of like not being able to leave an impact,
or like in the grand scheme of things, nothing you
Nothing
do
matters.
matters.
Yeah.
Me, it's whatever. If I'm forgotten, it's fine, right?
Why is it? Why
is that?
Why have you come to that conclusion?
Because if I don't know. I don't feel like that's something to be afraid of.
Okay.
That's a me thing though.
Yeah, that's
'cause,
fine.
like I can't find the reason to be afraid of it. Like if you're forgotten, so what? Like
Well, some
so
people-
are billions of people before us.
Yeah, for sure. But
Literally billions.
some people really feel like they need
Yeah,
the
like-
clout chase, like they need
yeah.
the fame, or they need someone to remember them. Or
Yeah, they want a legacy.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
more of like the success bias then.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
falls
feel like
within
that falls in within the success
the
bias.
failure fear.
Because like the success is written in history, and all the other failures are
Oh yeah,
Or forgotten in
it's the
history.
winners that write history.
history. Yeah.
like it's fine. I've kind of come to accept that I'm an insignificant dot in the universe because I'm.
So why is there a constant fear of failure then?
That's more on like a micro scale. It's more in the moment rather than in the grand scheme kind of thing.
Why can't you combine both of those visions?
It's very hard for me to do because the whole like my realizations of what I at the end of the day like I'm gonna be forgotten and I'm gonna be dust.
Yeah.
Is later down the line in my life, while me failing something like in the moment like that impacts me. You know?
Yeah, but then you can flip the script and say that, well, since later in the day everything I do is insignificant, this failure will also amount to
Nothing.
something that's completely insignificant.
Also, I feel like that if I were to do that, I'd be like my brother.
How so?
How so?
What's the point of doing anything if nothing matters? Right?
No.
Oh no, that's nihilism.
That's nihilism.
I'm saying like you can flip the script in the sense that
Like,
some
I
people
get
find that
that.
empowering.
I know, like I know what you mean, but because my brother and I had a similar upbringing,
Yeah.
like I feel like if I were to flip the script on myself, like I'm going to be
Nihilistic.
like yeah,
Yeah, there's just hasn't been a lot of positive reinforcement in your life yet, right?
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna it's not playing safe. It's still not healthy, but like I'm gonna have to just live like this for now and just kind of gradually build up the thing.
Shit, no one's rushing you.
Yeah. You have no idea. You have no.
You're the one putting the pressure upon yourself to rush yourself.
Yes.
Oh really?
Mm.
What did you feel the outward pressure coming from somebody else, or and who be that?
I choose not to say.
Oh okay.
I don't want to be too personal. As shit.
Okay. No worries. Well, I'm trying to think of other fears that people have.
I'm afraid of open waters.
That's more like a self-preservation fear. I was trying to think of like cultural fear. You know what's a huge existential cultural fear right now?
What?
Climate change.
Climate change.
That's a huge fear people have, especially young people.
Yes.
Young people are like severely
They're
trying to come to
grips
with the fact
that they might have not.
no, they won't have an Earth that's sustainable.
Yeah. Speaking of climate change and young people, I saw a video of Mark Rober yesterday.
Yeah.
About planting trees.
Oh yeah, I saw the thumbnail for that video. Didn't click it.
Is it because it was clickbaity?
Oh well, no.
Wait a minute. Didn't we have?
It wasn't necessarily clickbaity. I also saw
Donate.
Mr. Beast do a thumbnail video of that. I was just like, I'm gonna wait until the hype dies down and then I'll click it.
But we have only 66 days until we donate and reach $20 million to plant 20 million trees.
I know, still, I would, like I said, I'm just gonna wait until
by the
hype
time
dies
you
down.
watch it, it'll be too late.
Yeah. I will be too
You
late.
wouldn't have contributed to anything, just
Yeah.
like me.
But what about that? You saw that?
I was
What'd
just
you think
relating
about
that to
that?
climate change.
Yeah, but what? Okay.
I think planting trees is a noble effort, but I think that's just it's just not enough.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like no, like you're only picking one small topic when other factors
Yeah.
have huge impact on climate
Oh,
change.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, what he's doing is the correct thing. Is shifting the cultural zeitgeist towards a movement, right?
Yeah, I get that. That's good.
So I'm not going to denounce what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely, this is a battle on multiple fronts, right? You can't just tackle it via, taking off all of making everyone vegetarian so that people don't have so much
slay all the cows
footprint, right? Yeah. Or
stop eating beef.
Getting rid of all fossil fuel subsidies, right? That's one way of tackling it. But I'm just saying, everything needs to be considered.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I definitely do think there needs to be a cultural movement for things to change, because old people in high power don't see it as a problem. Young people see it as a problem. Old people don't see it as a problem.
Speaking of young people, I've maybe glimpsed of an article about some 16-year-old kid or whatever, going on protest about climate change and stuff.
Yeah. We were just discussing that this morning.
Yeah.
Cool. What are your thoughts about that? And give me intel, because I have no idea what it is about.
She's like this Swiss teenager who Norwegian.
Yep.
Sorry, Scandinavia. I'm really bad at distinguishing other individual countries. But she's a Scandinavian teenager who became severely depressed because she was contemplating just how hard it is to tackle this issue.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And,
so she literally took a boat. She made it a goal to make a day of protest, and so the way she go about it is on that day she took a boat, non-power wind power boat, towards America.
She made it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
She made it to New York to make a UN.
Who else was there?
Just by herself. Just by herself.
No way.
I find that very hard to believe.
Can you fact check this?
Yes.
It's not that I don't believe you, EJ. It's just the story is so hard to believe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a 16-year-old sailing across the sea by herself. I mean, if that was happening, that's mad big props. But
excuse the keyboard. It's quite icky.
Greta.
What about SteelSeries is fine.
No, but
no, his fingers are not fine.
Just wash your hands.
I'm
she is Swedish.
When it comes to
actually
washing my hands.
Don't
wash my hands as much.
Yeah, moderate. Yeah, moderate. Because if you wash it too much, it's gonna dry it up.
For sure.
Just Control F and then boat. Or sail across the world or New York.
Right here. In August of 2019, she sailed across Atlantic Ocean in from Python, UK, to New York, with a racing yacht that's solar powered and have water turbines.
Click on Voyage of Greta. There's no way she did it by herself. That's my questioning, EJ. No. Okay, you didn't click on.
Source.
Go back.
What?
Further information: Voyage of Greta Thunberg.
Where's that?
2019 visit to the Americas.
This one?
Yes. Okay, preparations. Who is she with? Thunberg and Boris Herman communicated with the. She went with somebody else.
Okay.
There's absolutely no way she had enough nautical knowledge to navigate the seas by herself. That's the thing I found very hard to believe.
Okay, but
it's still an impressive feat.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. But to do it by yourself, that's insane. You actually have
ludicrous.
That's ludicrous. Trying to run for president. You actually have to be insane to run for president.
But yeah, she literally.
I'm saying Obama was too.
Yeah. Andrew Yang is also, and
literally every person,
every political leader, it has to be,
because it's just you're going from what do you call it?
Some dude.
No, you're going from your day-to-day life trying to
to be and then
become
a public
world leader in which you have to stand for your country.
Yeah,
it's quite the
daunting
mental
task.
Shift.
Yes.
Hey, Jamie Jones, what's up?
Hey, hello, welcome to the stream.
We're talking about fears.
She has,
which is a big fear.
Yeah, which is one of the big fears. Yeah, she made it to New York and then made a UN speech and called out everybody. Basically.
UN speech?
Yeah, she did a UN speech.
What? The UN was backing her up?
No, she went to the United Nations.
In the America?
Yeah, there's a UN embassy in New York, which is Yeah.
Why do you keep?
I'm sorry. Like
I feel like every time you physically reel to something, I feel like I have to
point it out.
No, not point it out. Just prod you about why you're feeling.
Okay,
that way.
like I feel like I'm in the shoes of like the UN, like the folks in the UN embassy.
Yeah.
Some 16-year-old kid coming in like talking shit about them. It's like, you guys are talking about like climate change. It's like, kid, you're 16.
Well, you're generally honestly.
That's how the UN view it, and you're downplaying it.
UN,
but
many people had that perception. In particular, one notable celebrity, Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear.
Oh.
Yeah.
He completely denounced this girl and said that you're just Yes.
Oh, okay.
You're just a 16-year-old girl. Shut up and go back to school. That's what he said.
Okay.
Well, I'm paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of that.
Along the lines of that, and
he received like severe public backlash.
Did he apologize for it?
Probably not, considering the Jeremy Clarkson. But I mean,
he doesn't care about what the people thinks.
There's that, and he I don't know. The guy's for the most part ignorant.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think that's a good thing, but that makes me think that makes me also ignorant. So therefore, that's not a good thing.
Yeah,
better fix that.
But yeah, she basically says that like everybody's ruining her generational future, and she shouldn't. She's literally said she shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be at UN. She shouldn't be skipping school because of this.
She shouldn't be sailing across an ocean.
Yeah, she shouldn't be sailing across the ocean.
Yeah,
to prove a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a point that's most likely going to fall on deaf ears until world leaders change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now she's on a world tour. She stopped by in Alberta.
Cool.
She's now heading to California.
Why Alberta?
Because Alberta is a major contributor in Canada for fossil fuels.
Yep.
That's a very good point. That's all we got, man. We can't tech into nukes. Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, you say tech into nuke. I was thinking more of the arts, but sure. I was like, yeah, I don't know why you went straight to nukes and warfare. I was thinking more of like, we could always just do diplomacy or arts.
Yeah, that's a thing. Or go for more focus on green energy.
This whole idea of zero-sum games is something that people need to lose.
Zero-sum game?
As in, like, if somebody else is winning, I'm not winning.
Oh, yeah. Non-zero-sum game is much better.
Yeah. Where?
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. If you're winning, that's progress. I'm winning, right? Like people don't like to do it like that.
Like when a high tide raises all boats.
A high tide raises all boats.
Yeah.
That's a very great analogy.
Well, we use that a lot. We use that a lot.
It's an old ancient proverb. It's quoted by Sun Tzu from the
Confucius or whatever.
Confucius verses 6 to 217. I don't know.
Non-zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Once again, we got derailed.
I mean, it's still climate change and fears.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, she's on a boat. How can you not be fearful for your life being on a boat?
I'd be a little bit afraid, not gonna lie.
Especially when you do nautical.
And then as soon as I hit the middle of the ocean, I'd be petrified.
No, but can you believe there are some people out there who are willing, with absolutely no knowledge?
Well, she went with some dude.
I'm saying there are other dumb people with absolutely no prior training and no preparations. Just decide, hey, I'm gonna go hitchhiking across Canada.
You're gonna get shot or stabbed.
Or I'm gonna go
run a marathon across Canada.
Not necessarily run a marathon. I was thinking more like
Jerry Fox.
Train hopping.
Train hopping?
Yeah.
Oh, hitchhiking.
That's not hitchhiking.
Super
what is that
dangerous.
called?
Huh?
When you train hop.
I can't remember the term. I know that term because they use that a lot in that same term is used a lot in
Slumdog Millionaire.
Great Depression.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking of like.
I know you're saying Slumdog Millionaire because he does train hopping.
Not necessarily that he did train hopping, just because like slums.
Yeah.
So I decided to say Slumdog Millionaire.
But I've seen a documentary years ago where like the train conductors.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, these people that train hop like they die in like because it's super unsafe.
It is super unsafe.
Like,
super
and
unsafe.
It's like not insulated, so they'll literally freeze to death and starve to death.
And if they like let's say they hop onto a freight that has a bunch of grain or like has a bunch of coal and they just slip, they'll suffocate because there's no way of getting out of that.
Yeah.
Because quite literally the surface you can't.
They either fall into it or fall out and kill themselves while the train is moving.
Yeah, if they miss.
Yeah.
Like that's terrifying. I would never do stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying there are people out there who who don't have the same inhibitions or self-preservation, and they're just like, I'm gonna live life. I'm props to all of them, but I mean, do it with like preparation. You know?
Yeah, like
there's always
like
ways to prepare.
the guy who did a hitchhike all the way to TwitchCon. He did a lot of preparation for it.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Why is that insane?
Like I'm praising the guy for like making all the preparation.
That's another thing. Hitchhiking.
Yeah.
You know, you have I want to say, I don't want to say an irrational fear of strangers, but you have a complete distrust of humanity if you think every hitchhiker is contemplating suicide because they're hitchhiking.
I'll shoot first. Not gonna lie, if I'm hitchhiking, which I won't. I'll walk.
Yeah,
that's an actual generalization.
No, but I'm saying that you're just thinking that all of these hitchhikers have a death wish because they don't know the strangers. Literally, what you're imagining is
the worst case.
It is the worst case, but at the same time, it's like it's a concept that was propagated in horror movies.
Yes.
Like definitely, there was a time there was a time and place in the 80s, 90s, and 70s where mass murderers would just pick up hitchhikers and kill them.
Yes.
Right. But guess what? Most of those hitchhikers that died were women.
Or frail young Asian boys.
I'm just saying, you don't fit the demographic of a mass murderer.
Didn't they also romanticize hitchhiking back in like near the early 1900s?
I have no idea.
Also, speaking of hitchhiking, we've actually hitchhiked a person before.
Okay.
Like we let them in. Like we were their car. We just dropped them off where they wanted to go, and then we left.
Yeah.
Went on our merry way.
Was
pleasantries like exchanged? And you said, "How are you doing?" And they said, "How?"
Were you headed?
There were some dead end small talks.
Was he very smelly? She?
I think this was when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
So like, this was a long
Generally
time.
speaking, I think it's understandable to be very smelly when you're hitchhiker, just because you don't have any like toiletries.
Yeah.
Or
very little
of pit
scent.
stops for hygiene.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't remember the smell.
I mean, if you have the memory of Edric, then you won't even remember it.
Yeah, I know.
Like this was like a very distant memory.
What about like fear of not remembering things? You have that sometimes?
I generally forget shit all the time, so this doesn't apply.
No,
to
but
me.
I'm saying there's some people who they feel like they've experienced something very important and they're scared to
lose
like
it.
that's a honestly, rationally speaking, that is a huge fear to have because like Alzheimer's and brain disease is like a really prevalent thing.
It's true, but I've accepted that I'm just gonna forget shit. Like I'll do what I can to help remember writing things down. But
let's say losing the memory of your loved one or like your spouse.
That would be pretty awful.
Like you know how distressing that would be. Like your entire life partner.
Yeah.
For like 50 years, and suddenly you got Alzheimer's, and you can
I know I can relate on a personal level because
or losing the memory of your parents even. That's also like heart catching.
Am I hitting you in the feels?
Not.
It's kind of like a frog
different kind of feels actually.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just also. I just know that I'm gonna forget shit, just because genetics. I think it's more of like a me thing. Also, I've learned that like memory is like a shit thing to fall back to, because it'll always be changed in some way.
Yeah.
Like it's not 100% like callback.
Yeah, it's not
accurate.
It's some people like to think it's.
So like if I forget, it's like, I'm sure it was nothing important. But losing something like forgetting that your spouse passed away or like family members like that's yeah. I know that from like, not on a personal level, but like because of the field that I work in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've seen firsthand experience.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, but that's a reality some people live in, right?
Yeah.
It's true. Absolutely.
It's hard to imagine. I'm trying to think of other fears. Can you think of some other fears?
Bugs.
Yeah, that's more like a primal fear that people have because like parasitism and like diseases come from bugs, and so you innately have a
How
fear.
about?
I don't know why you're scared of spiders.
Or
me?
fear of social norms.
I love spiders.
Fear of Fear of certain social norms.
What does that mean?
As in, like, sticking out of the society and being ostracized.
Oh, that's not
that.
a fear of social norms. It's being fear of social outcasts.
Social outcasts, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
That's huge.
Because like the social stigma / shame that you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big fear. A lot of
Society
people.
sucks, man.
I know, but it's.
I know it's something that we gotta live with.
It's not necessarily something I live with.
with.
It helps people. Society as a whole is something that I am thankful for. Can you imagine if we didn't live in a society where people didn't listen to the rules or didn't respect? Yeah, or like tribes where we were warring constantly. Like no.
Yeah, but at the same time, they set up standards
it's
hard for us to meet.
I feel like that hasn't really improved.
That sucks.
Which, the tribalism aspect? Well, that's with the age of the internet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the whole setting up standards.
Yeah, like
that's more so
it's like a love-hate relationship with society.
Well, no, but like
it's a necessity that we gotta live
with. It is a necessity because like those standards are very well thought out standards because like those are the types of like things and accomplishments that you need to be deemed as successful from your peers, right? Well, I say from your peers, from people who have authority, right? Like if you want a minimum wage job in the States, you actually need like a master's degree because of like how hard it is.
That sucks.
Yeah,
makes me so angry.
Yeah, like
it's not fear, it's just anger.
I'm just saying, like the jobs, and it's just a sorry state of the economics that's
happening.
And it's not going to change
States.
for a long.
Not just in the United States. This is like
Canada
general, like, not just Canada. I'm talking about like because economic. How do I say this?
How you
economies around the world went through this stage where instead of their primary means of generating revenue and wealth was through the means of production, it was through debt.
Oh, okay.
And so all of these like higher institutions like banks started getting assets, and assets for banks is debt of people. So that's how they made money. They just continued to rack up these debts on people, and that just continued to ratchet up the stakes, right? And so now people are like, well, I have to pay off all this debt. You need to get a good job, and like if you go to school, you rack up even more debt, and it just compounds and compounds. And
it's catch-22 style.
Yeah, catch-22 style, and then suddenly you're just like, well, fuck, I'm in this huge hole of debt, but I need to become successful, and the way I become successful is by racking more debt, so I can get the credentials.
It's fucking awful,
right? But that's the current landscape of the economy that we're in right now.
I know,
and that's all of the fucking fault of the people who put that system into place.
It's true, right? We're suffering for it.
That's Reaganomics. That's Clinton, who continued Reaganomics. That's a bunch of like
Bush.
Sure, the Bush. I mean,
I
don't talk about that. I'm talking about like no, but like. That's like Greece's fucking what happened in Greece, where like people were like, well, we're just gonna keep ratcheting the debt up, and then suddenly Greece was like, well, we can't handle it anymore. We're gonna have a crisis. They did.
Yeah. Now we're bankrupt.
Yeah.
As a country.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like this is not a singular issue, right? It's like it's a global phenomenon because people went through a stage of debt collecting.
Yeah.
Because that was the primary method of the way you generate wealth, and now right now we're in like this huge transition phase where we're trying to go from that to automation. It's crazy.
Wow, that looking at it that way, like that's a huge step up. Like it's a huge step. Like we're
huge transition.
Yeah, like because like we're. Hold on.
Like you think automation is what do you think?
No, like no, I'm just saying like from like the system that we have now to the system that we're trying to get to. That's like a.
No, but the system that we're trying to get to, we don't have any regulations in place to help the people who are going to be marginalized out. And guess who are the people that are going to be marginalized out?
Like the middle class,
the blue collar workers.
Not just blue collar workers, even white collar people. Like you do realize attorneys and radiologists and clerical work like accountants. All of those jobs are getting automated too.
Yeah.
So, like, you're marginalizing out like almost 50% of the workforce.
That's kind of
more than 50%.
Scary.
Yeah, that is scary. And then who's going to put the regulation in place so that all these people don't suffer?
Not to mention they've already have the compounding debt that they had from the previous system.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by this transition to go from one place into automation where no one foresees the fucking future because everyone's thinking about the previous system and how to reduce the deficit and how to reduce their debt. They're like not even thinking about the incoming wave that's about to hit them, right?
That's scary.
I definitely, there's plenty of people in the STEM fields right now, but like currently there are software engineers who are creating software to replace their own jobs.
Yep.
There are software engineers who are creating machine learned software so that they could create better software.
I hope they're compensated for, being.
I mean, who's gonna compensate
cornerstone?
them? Yeah, but who's gonna compensate them? The current system doesn't compensate anyone.
Yeah. Right. It only compensates more automation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
literally nobody else.
It's sketchy. We live in a really scary time as a whole. The reality we live in, like, at the same time, it's great to live in this reality because I don't have to think about, being hungry, not having a home.
It's such a transition state.
I don't have to worry about those things. I don't need to worry about like artillery shells or nuclear bombs in the Cold War in the 80s. Like, I don't need to worry about those things. But instead, I have to worry about these things, which is, some might say, like, even more soul crushing, right? To know that, like, in the people who are like us, born in the 1990s, have a 50% shot at becoming richer than our parents.
Yeah, it's a coin toss.
Yeah. In the 1950s, 1960s, you had like an 83% shot.
You're telling me it's only... I was impressed with the 50-50, but then I realized that was like a decreased number.
Yeah.
And people who are being born right now and people who were born in Generation Z...
Generation I.
Yeah, Generation I, whatever you call it. I don't know.
I?
In the 2000s
it's 2010s and 2000s.
People who were being born then, like right now, and like in the 2000s, they have even less of a chance to become richer than their parents. And guess what? It's not because their parents were rich to begin with, because they've already have compounding debt from the previous system.
Yeah.
It's because how the system is set up so that there's constantly more hoops to jump through in terms of the credentials you need, more debt you need to rack up to become successful, and even once you're successful, that success is going to get automated away.
Yeah.
That's
so much gatekeeping.
Right?
That's very depressing.
But I mean, that's a lot to do with the fact that we are determining human value based on economic value.
Yeah. Time for me to be a hermit. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be so hard.
This is a hard life.
It is a hard life.
Throwing society away and living in self-sustaining via, like farming or something?
Yeah, via your own means.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
Jeez.
Like, EJ's going to school right now. That's great for him. But I mean, like, there's no...
It might not matter at the...
In all honesty, who
Dude,
knows?
We're learning automation, all that jazz.
We're quite, like... You're going to have to learn on the fly when it comes to what to do next.
Yeah.
In terms of the future.
Like, my professor...
And, like, your profession, health aid and such, is becoming more and more prevalent because, people are having less and less kids. The older generation becomes larger and larger, right? But, I mean, the system currently does not value that.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
That doesn't produce money.
That's... From beer, it got really depressing real fast.
This is like the existential, cosmic fear that we are suffering. Like, this is not like the visceral, I'm super scared of it. This is like the soul-crushing
idea.
This is my reality. I have to fucking deal with it. What am I going to do with it? Type of fear.
Right. Existential in regards.
This is what I've been thinking of the last 6 months. When I started, like, paying attention to politics and paying attention to what is actually happening on the ground when it comes to, like, 50% of people. Like, the average person is below the poverty line.
Oh my god.
50% of the entire world owns 1% of the property.
Oh my god. No. Why? It's too depressing. Can we change the topic? Just for a little bit. We can come back to it. Can we just talk something?
What would you like to talk about? Do you want to talk more about existential crisis?
No. Or? It really touched a nerve with me because, like, I this is the type of distress that I was feeling, and that people, especially the male demographic, when they encounter situations like this, rather than have to face it head on, they tend to just internalize it and then run to escapism. So that's why you get a ton of the millennials of this generation, specifically male, who just like escape and just never enter the workforce, and they're just, they just escape to their games, escape to their fantasy, escape to all of these things. And like that hit me. Yeah, that hit me really hard, because I'm exactly that demographic, and I'm just like, wow, that's exactly what I'm feeling. And I'm like, well, even if I go back to school, I still have to rack up debt. It's not going to be my debt. My parents are going to pick up that debt because they're nice parents. But I'm just saying, like, boy, is it hard.
Can we talk like puppies or some shit for like 2 minutes? That'd be great.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's rough also because the provincial government also unfroze the tuition.
Yeah.
Unfroze the tuition? What do you mean?
So tuition becomes more expensive.
So all schools get 7% deduction of their budget.
Fuck, that means they gotta.
They offset that by putting it on
more tuition. Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck.
To the students.
Do I just like move to Finland or some shit? Like I don't know.
You can.
You can.
And honestly, like, in all honesty, if you don't necessarily want to partake in this system, you should just go to Scandinavia and find. Finland, Denmark, Sweden.
Sweden? Oh, hell yeah.
Norway, even.
Norway, Denmark. Did I say Denmark?
Yeah, you said Denmark twice.
Yeah.
Germany.
Like, those are great places. But they're also suffering from the same issues.
But they have a better system,
it's not better, it's more robust.
Yeah.
As in, like, they're less likely to have people have nothing. Right? They're more robust in terms of their social programs and in terms of uplifting their workforce. But like, they still have the same issues.
Worst thing is, like, I may have had these ideas of, I could move to like other countries that have better system in place for the people, but I'm probably not the only one that thinks about it, and so therefore, like, the immigration to like other like Scandinavian countries where like the system's set for the people is in place, so they're gonna be swamped with more immigrants and stuff. So like I'll be just on the same fucking boat. And what if that changes the government system? So like it's like, we can't support these people anymore. Like
people are prone to that sort of thinking because.
Wait, what?
No, you're correct in saying that the mindset behind immigrants.
Like a hive mind.
Not necessarily a hive mind. The mindset behind immigrants and the mindset behind scapegoating specific demographics is there because they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand that it's automation and technology that's like
ramping up
and making their lives more difficult, making their lives more difficult to adjust.
It's the system in place
that's making their lives
more difficult.
And rather than immigrants or people coming to your country,
and it becomes basically what Hitler did back in Germany, is just to place the scapegoatism onto another demographic.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as Hitler and say that there's a party so devoted to hate, but you're right in saying that. No, you're right in saying that that's happening.
And an extreme case is going to be like that.
Well, no, the extreme case already happened.
Yeah.
That's why you have Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
He was like a very right-leaning prime minister or president inside France. That's why you have Trump in office. That's why you have Boris Johnson in the UK.
Is he also
very, very right-leaning? Not necessarily fascist, but very, very right-leaning. Like, you have all of these people who are trying to harken back to a time when there wasn't the system in place and that everyone had some sort of wealth and that you could prosper. But the fact is that that's not coming. Because the wave of automation is here and is about to engulf.
Technology is ramping so fast that nobody's isn't prepared for it.
Alright, I don't want to break Twitch talks by talking too much about politics and stuff, but which side is right leaning? I'm sorry, like I'm fucking conservative. So
right leaning means conservative.
Okay.
And left leaning is more socialism.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Alright, confirmed. Cool.
But that's not breaking toss. terms of service for Twitch.
When it comes to politics, it's like try to play safe because nobody wants to talk about politics.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about politics, but that's the core issue. That's the main problem with our society.
Yeah, nobody wants to touch politics.
It's a fucking negative.
And if they don't want to touch politics, then they won't understand the systems that's been in place, and thus they'll get more fear. Thus they want to avoid it more. And thus they don't want the system.
Yeah. No, but EJ, you're correct. It's a negative feedback loop, and where people are like, the more inclined to avoid the thing that's actually causing them a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Also, that's really, man, what a depressing.
I mean, fears was the topic.
Yeah.
I know. I guess fear and depression kind of go hand in hand. Some level of dread.
Fear does fear lead to depression, or does depression lead to
existential fears? Definitely do.
Yeah.
It's where it feels like it's completely out of your control. But the more like primal fears, like fear of snakes, like the self-preservation fears, those are like more visceral. But you definitely have some control of it. Like I can avoid swimming in deep water if I want to. If I can avoid going onto the savannah and like having predators chase me,
and dying of exposure.
Those are things I can choose to avoid. But existential fears definitely make you feel like they feel even more so harder to overcome because they just permeate the space that we live in.
How do you make people more aware of these then?
You just gotta make people comfortable talking about their fears, talking about what makes them more comfortable. Like this is why I wanted to talk about fears to begin with.
Which is good.
Like, I'm just thinking of like, what kind of mediums would you use to try to convey that idea, or able to inform or present these kind of topics?
The thing is, what we're doing right now, and if we ever want to upscale this, is never going to work. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, true.
Because this is not appealing to people. This is not something people are willing to sit down en masse and be like, hey, this is enjoyable. I'm going to watch this. Like, no one's going to fucking do that. No. The way you go about doing this is that you have to talk people you care about, right? Your personal friends and stuff, and you just talk about fears like this. You just talk about the things that make you uncomfortable, and talk about politics, because those are the things that's going to change the people most nearby you, and then you try to convince them to talk about that to their friends.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is like a culture. We're too stuck in, like, attention grabbing news.
Yeah.
We're
instant satisfaction.
Not necessarily that, but the sense of I can't even say it. Sensationalizing news, right? Or topics. But the fact of the matter is that what we're talking about is completely inane and boring and is the root cause of our problems. But you just need to get people to understand that that's the root cause of our problems, and that sensationalizing it is not going to help. You got to just, make them sit down and be like, hey, this is the reality of what's going on. What are we going to do about it?
It's like the talk.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. I'm uncomfortable and I'm depressed, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking like, can you also convey that in other mediums such as like video games or books even?
Nobody's going to buy that, dude. Everybody wants flashy shit. They want to feel happy.
Issue.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you make this marketable? You can't.
You can't. Or it's very hard, very difficult.
It's borderline impossible.
No, but like, let's say I make a dystopian movie that reflects all of the things that have happened, and I'm sure there's tons of filmmakers out there who are trying their best to make this relatable and immersive and understand it. But the fact is that people don't want to watch that.
Also, it doesn't make enough money.
People don't want to watch that.
That's why Disney's going back doing their fucking nostalgia trip or whatever.
Yeah.
God, I hate Disney.
It's a sad state of affairs, but I mean, those are the affairs that matter.
Well,
and like I said, the only way, or not only way, I'd recommend the best way about going about this is talking to the people you care about.
Yeah.
Trying to, sit them down and be like, okay, are you considering your future? I'm considering my future. What are we gonna do about it? Together? Are we gonna can we discuss policies? Can we discuss the things that make us uncomfortable?
Oh, that's what the 16-year-old girl did.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what she
did. And then she immediately got shut down because it was boring for people.
It's boring. And it's a problem people don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
But she's confronting it every single day.
Man, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah. It's, I'm glad I had this talk with you guys, but I mean, like,
me too.
I barely have any exposure to anyone. I'm definitely gonna start doing this when I make friends in school and stuff. But I mean, like, it's gonna take a while until I get there.
Not gonna lie, you might.
It's interesting because also you don't bring this up to Chad at all
because he doesn't want to talk about that shit.
Yeah,
Chad's, and I don't blame Chad for not wanting to talk about it.
Yeah,
these are these are hard-hitting issues. That's and true. Like, if I ever bring it up to Chad, is like, Chad's already, I don't want to say he's comfortable enough, but I don't want to say he's fine. I don't know Chad.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to project what I think onto him.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to say that he's in a better place than most people. He's in a comfortable place than most people.
Okay.
Right? I'm not following.
He's not, like, his parents are in a position to take care of him.
Yeah.
His family is in a position where they're well off enough where they don't have to, grasp the thin straws that are left, or grasp the strands that are left, that are unraveling. Other people are in a position where they have no choice but to face this. But, like, if you were born off to well-off parents, then that's great and stuff. But I mean, I'm like, once again, who knows? Chad might be having these problems and he might be severely depressed, and I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just saying he's in a position where he doesn't necessarily have to worry about these things all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. We aren't in that position. Yeah. We are in a position where we have to be worrying about these things, otherwise we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to be left behind, forgotten.
Yep.
Turned to dust.
Yep.
Alright, now I'm feeling the fucking dread. Fuck! Well, okay, like, it's a different kind of fear. Like, I'm okay with being, like, turning to dust and being forgotten, but, like, the fact that I have to face this very soon, that fucking...
No, it's not very soon. Very soon. You're facing it right now.
You're immediately facing it.
Fuck! It sucks!
It does.
I'm glad we're talking about it, though.
Yeah. Like,
I need to feel these kind of emotions.
Like, I talk to these kind of topics to my colleagues also at NATE, and like they're also going in their own crises, such as like I have the debt cycle.
Yeah.
Basically, is there falling because some of them are international students.
Oh my god.
And since the school budget went down by 7%, then their prices for their tuition went up by 10%.
Yeah, they had to take the brunt of
it. So to imagine they're already paying $10,000 per semester,
that's
increased
awful.
by 10%.
Yeah.
That's $11,000 per semester.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough, and like he's like one of them is having a really hard time trying to manage a job, staying in school, and paying for all of these shit, and
while constantly fighting off the feeling that he wants to kill himself.
Yeah, like
because this only compounds that, right?
Yeah.
He's already facing all these things. He's in a foreign country. He's not necessarily by people who are willing to support him.
Right. I got a very quick question. Is the whole international student being paid, like being forced to pay more, like just a Canada's thing, or is that like everywhere?
No,
like,
it's
generally speaking, that's the case.
For other countries?
Wherever
yeah,
you go,
because
a lot
you
of
want
countries.
to incentivize local people to go to your school.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're alienating.
Not alienating, you're subsidizing what the local people will get, while at the same time making people who are coming to your school from foreign places, because they're competing with other people who are also coming to your school.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're making it more competitive.
By forcing them to pay more.
Yeah, sure.
Pay more or actually pay less, because NATE's price for international student is a lot cheaper compared to others.
No,
institutions.
I mean, you say that. I'm saying, but like
still more
compared to other students, like let's say, you say.
You.
No. What you were saying was, I'm saying it's more competitive, and competitive can mean anything. It can mean more, like you pay more. It can mean higher grades. It can mean like a specific demographic. Like competitive can mean a boatload of things.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's just more stressors.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I'm still glad that we're having this conversation based off of fear, the conversation of fear.
Yeah.
But goddamn.
And like we touched upon it in terms of last week when we were talking about China and stuff, right?
Yeah.
About their politics and about like protests and stuff. Like, we can still be thankful. I'm thankful that we live in Canada. We don't live in an authoritarian state where I'm allowed to express my free speech, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have to go on the streets and have to, express my civil unrest that way.
And have a fear of actually dying on the streets by the civil unrest.
Right. Or getting swallowed up by that whole chaotic movement. But I mean, we live in Canada. That's nice.
Yeah, I should be thankful.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But
we don't live in Turkey where Syria is the conflict's ongoing and then right, so
you don't live in Ukraine also where
no, I'm just saying we live in a decent society where we don't have all these compounding stressors.
Even more stressors that's onto our day lives.
Life sucks, man. and I think I should be glad that I'm feeling these kind of things.
Yeah, because it means you're human. You're not a psychopath.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It means that you're human. You're not like a sociopath or a psychopath. Because if you're a sociopath or a psychopath, you wouldn't care for these things.
You would just
strive for your own selfish desires.
You want to reach your goal.
Which is it doesn't matter how many people you trample on. As long as you reach your own goal, you're good to go. That's what a psychopath/sociopath is.
Like
it's no regard for other people.
They're tools to them.
Quite literally. And a lot of corporate heads are basically like those sociopaths. Yeah. And as crazy as it sounds, those corporate heads are basically compared to serial killers. A sociopath
they're basically running the country for us.
Yeah.
Fuck! It's so depressing!
It is.
Fuck.
But that's the reality we live in.
But at the same time, I'm trying to force myself to not, eye bleach myself.
But
I need to
you're taking it. In all honesty, you're taking it well, because some people
will literally.
For example, your brother would just
immediately shut himself down.
He would shut himself down and be completely overrun with rage to the point where he just wouldn't care about anything anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
It's coming to the point. He's coming to the point where he's having no empathy for anything.
I wouldn't necessarily say empathy. Maybe I was too harsh on him. I'm not willing to rule out the fact that I was at wrong. I could have been at the wrong when we had the conflict.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that he's still, a good person, and he's still, is completely empathic and wishes the best for humanity. But I'm saying that there are people out there who, all of these compounding problems hit them, and they realize, well, I'm just gonna get mad and I'm gonna lash out and I'm just not gonna forge healthy relationships anymore.
Man, what do I do?
You gotta talk about it with the people that.
No, I get that. It's just talking is.
Okay.
Talking's gonna definitely help.
After
talking.
That, let's say we get into a position where the cultural movement / the younger people understand that this is a problem and that they're comfortable talking about it. The next step would be political action. It would be organizing a movement where all of us wrote letters to our congressmen, to our Senate, to our members of parliament.
Yeah.
Right? That would be the next step. Or organizing some sort of rally, joining an activist group. Mm-hmm. I'm not opposed to that. Once I get into school, I'm probably going to look to do something like that. Right? Because not only does that foster leadership and such when you get into a group like that,
but you're also trying to convey your ideas and
your quite literal civil unrest. You're trying to convey what's wrong with the system and why you're upset with it. So that would be the next step. You would have to find people to collaborate with. Right.
And there's a movement in Edmonton and Alberta a lot. I mean, a week ago. Just every Friday, there's been protests in front of the parliament.
You mean the
legislature? Every Friday.
I'm not saying you have to be a part of those
demonstrations, but there are groups out there that you could.
No, I do.
Could.
I'm just saying you need to get in a position where you can converse these ideas and feel comfortable conversing these ideas
constantly.
But I feel like oh my god.
You're perpetuating the system?
No. Like I'm always self-conflicted.
In what way?
Like so, like I feel depressed, right? Like talking about this, but I'm also at the same time, like glad that we're talking about this. I'm feeling these emotions. I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
But those two, like just those two alone, just clash. You know, like I'm depressed. Like I don't want to talk about this, but at the same time, I should be glad that I'm talking about this stuff like this.
Yeah.
And then immediately afterwards, like it would be like a part of me is like there should be something like change, and I'd like to do something about change that, but another part of me is like immediate like instant gratification. Just eye bleach yourself.
I'm not saying. Okay, you need to also realize that this whirlwind of emotions that you're feeling is a good thing, right? Like you need to eventually you can start. Like I'm throwing all these facts at you, I'm throwing reality at you super fast, and you're like, oh shit, all of this is happening. But you can let like after the podcast is done, you can let these things sink in, or you can even just get away from it.
Yeah, well, at the same time,
it's okay to take things in incremental steps. You don't need to face it like head on. Like you can take the time to prepare yourself, regather yourself, talk to other people about how they feel, gauge how their reactions are going to be like, and then judge upon whether or not your reaction was just. And in all honesty, your reaction is completely fine. Like I said, if I were to tell your brother this, I don't necessarily think he would take it the same way. In fact, I think he would be completely resistant. Like not resistant, resistant. He would be resistant to these ideas, and he would just like, don't blame the rich people. Like I'm not blaming the rich people. I'm blaming the system. Like he would find ways to scapegoat it in different manners, or pick at the details where it's like they're too nitpicky and in the grand scheme of things don't matter. So it's like I don't know. Yeah. Like I was thinking about the conversation I had with your brother about how San Francisco has a huge homeless issue and that homeless people are shitting on the streets, and his reaction to that whole fiasco there was he was blaming homeless people. And I'm like,
I was there for it, but I can't remember. I'm sorry.
And my reaction, like retrospectively, now that I think about it, I'm like, that homeless people shitting everywhere, that's just a symptom of what's going on there. That's not actually the problem.
It's the consequences.
Yeah, it's a consequence. The problem there is like the housing crisis. The problem there is that people aren't caring for these people. The problem there is that the marginalized community has nothing going for them. Right? It's not because the problem is not homeless people shitting in the streets. Right? So when I retroactively thought about that, I was just like, wow, that's why I was so pissed off at your brother. Right? Because he's
shifting the blame.
Yeah, he's not even looking at the right problem.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm saying like some people, I'm not saying your brother who did that now. In fact, who knows? Maybe your brother's become a better person without us. Right? And if he has, then that's great for him. But there are people who are of that mindset of the fact that, well, I'm going to be super angry at the things that make me angry, and I'm going to be outraged. Those would be the reactions. They wouldn't necessarily have the turmoil or the whirlwind of emotions that you're having, and be empowered to want to do something. And that's good. That's
only a part of me is empowered, though.
But I'm saying that's a reaction that at least you're having. Some people don't even get that far.
Yep.
Because they're resistant.
Yeah, they're resistant.
It's the mentality of what's an ideal of a male figure.
Not necessarily that. They can be thinking
that anymore,
it's like internalizing all of their.
Or they have a preconception, like an older view of how things should be. But I'm saying that like we have to evolve that.
Yeah.
We can't be thinking about those because those old things they worked back in the old day because they don't have the same problems we do facing today.
Each generation is different.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to force myself mentally right now not to say like after the podcast don't eye bleach. I gotta let this really fucking sink in.
You can eye bleach it for a bit, but whenever we come into contact, I'm gonna bring it up, and you can't just run away from it.
I know, like
right? I'm gonna be that external pressure that's gonna be like, okay, here's reality. I'm going to constantly try to let it sink in, and at some point you'll become comfortable enough to want to talk about it and explore ideas. And pursue different things, but that's the first step.
I think my first step is to just not eye bleach at all, because I feel like that's just like that's escapism for me, and that's
trust. I do escapism all the time. Like I'll delve into these topics for like 2-3 hours plus, and then I'm just like, Okay, this is getting really depressive. I'm just gonna sit back and relax.
No, but I think, like, personally, for me anyway, like, I feel like that's not healthy. Like, being depressed forever isn't a good thing either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like
escaping out of it is not good also.
Because I feel like
you have to strike a balance. Because like if you're depressed all the time,
I don't know how to find that balance.
You're not gonna get motivated.
It's true, like, but I don't know how to find that balance. Fuck, because it's catch-22.
It is a catch-22.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like
What?
bringing these topics up also to my colleagues, and they're trying to cope with everything.
Yeah, like
It's really interesting also, because some of them also live the shelter life also.
Yeah.
And so the real actually coming to school and seeing these kind of problems, and it's actually affecting them.
Well, they also feel it in their wallets.
Yeah, they also feel it in their wallets.
That's
also
the biggest thing. Is like oh, anytime I go out, I feel a strain in my bank account.
I had the discussion with some of my colleagues about when we brought up the idea of the Alberta segregating.
Yeah.
wait, what?
Separating.
Secession.
What?
Secession, yeah.
Wait.
And a lot of them are really, really like confused and like
resistant,
enraged about it. Like they hate that idea.
Yeah.
Because like some of them are like, what if we currently cannot fix the politics of our province, then what's the point of trying to move out if the current politics are just going to get worse and worse? You're just shifting the blame to the federal rather than our current politics now.
What about the municipal?
That's one way of perceiving it. Yeah.
And so that literally like changed my mind. Like, oh, okay. I feel like what I felt early that morning felt a lot more. I understand my feelings now.
It was articulated.
It was articulated well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like one of my colleagues is he's from Ukraine, and he moved to Canada like I think 10 years ago. No, 5 years ago. And so he's a fully fledged citizen, and like he heard about this like a few days ago, and he's also getting really mad about it.
At the people wanting
to
secede?
secede.
Wait, I'm not getting the full picture. Sorry.
There's been a movement among Albertans and Saskatchewans that they want to separate from the rest
And Manitoba.
Yeah. That's
Manitoba
a Quebec
and
thing.
It is a Quebec thing.
and British Columbia. Some parts of British Columbia.
Yeah, I shouldn't be making a lot
But
of
like
that. But still.
your colleagues are correct in saying the politics definitely are the one like you're shifting the blame from federal politics to provincial.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're shifting provincial
politics to federal
politics. But the reason why I have sympathies for the separatists.
Oh yes.
Is because of the lack of representation.
Lack of representation.
That's the biggest issue.
And I was I felt off put about it, so I looked up again how many seats we are, and Alberta represents 1/10 of the seats.
Yeah,
that's
each the West. So British Columbia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta all represents 1/10 of the seats.
Shit, that's
4/10.
That's 4/10.
That's actually not that
2/5
of the parliament.
Yeah, seats in parliament.
Yeah, and then the more I think about it, the more it actually reflects on what just recently happened in the elections, which is the Liberal got minority, and the Conservatives got literally 40% of the seats.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah, you're right.
And so the minority representation, yeah, I agree to that, but I felt like they change the electoral districts to more represents the current economic power, and so it still feels like it's still not enough
of representation.
Yes, because apparently like Ontario and Quebec hold like a few electoral higher than the western states.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Not necessarily. If you want to go by populations, then yeah, that makes sense because most of the population lives on the eastern side. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to go based on GDP and economic growth, then it doesn't necessarily make sense.
It makes sense.
The eastern side so much representation, while the western side doesn't have that much representation.
Mm-hmm. Like in terms of economic, yeah, it doesn't represent it well. I mean, it's getting better at it because they change the electoral power every 5 years. Okay. The districts every 5 years.
Once again, my biggest issue is just the language barrier. I don't understand.
I understand that. 30% of Canadians.
30% of Canadians are French
speaking,
and 70% of Canadians don't even speak French. So it's like, why should most of your representatives why do you mandate that all of your representatives speak French? I just feel like you're cock blocking / making a lot of gatekeeping a lot of potential people who have tons of promise in politics and have tons of new ideas, but they're just not allowed because they don't have French speaking capabilities.
Like apparently, there wasn't a term system until Stephen Harper came in. Yeah. And Stephen Harper says, okay, we're making a term system. Every 4 years, we're going to have an election for a prime minister. The general commission, I can't remember, the general minister still has the power to overturn or to create another election at any time.
Yeah, that's just weird.
But that's why Trudeau, back in the past, Trudeau went for I think 12 years.
Yeah. Senior?
Yeah, Trudeau Senior was in power for 12 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's strange.
It was strange until Harper came in and said
that's massive.
They were about to change it.
I'm not claiming that I have any sort of notion informed about Canadian politics in the slightest. I'm uninformed.
I didn't know that they changed the system because I knew from the previous system. Yeah. There were no 4 terms system. They didn't have a 4-term system. I knew about that, but I didn't know that it's been changed now.
No, but I'm just saying I'm not claiming to be someone who's informed of politics and policies in Canada.
Because I was wondering why there's so much election now for us Canadians.
Definitely, I'm disenfranchised.
Yeah, you should It bothered me I didn't know Canada's system, so I literally.
Canada's also boring in terms of politics.
Yeah,
sorry to say.
I can't blame you.
American politics is so much more entertaining to watch.
Well, because
Trump's
news.
Not necessarily Trump. I'm just talking about fundamental, the substance. What's it called?
The substance.
These people have substance. Bernie Sanders has substance. Andrew Yang has substance. Elizabeth Warren, at a certain point, has some substance. So if I tune into that, I'm like, oh hey, these people
are characters.
Not characters. They have policies and such that I can look up and examine and stuff. But I'm not really too interested in Canadian politics, even though I live here.
Yeah, it's true, and I feel also the way they also outreach to the politicians, how they outreach to
disenfranchised voters.
Yeah, isn't as effective as the current
some of the newer candidates.
Candidates.
Yeah, because Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders have reinvigorated a lot of their disenfranchised voters in America. So,
and I think it's also reflective of what's the population of Canada is, because a lot of the population of Canada lives closer to the United States border.
Yes.
And so, but a lot of the power, the electoral districts power, are more to the northern part where there's rural areas.
Those rural areas have more
representations, which is pretty scary.
I don't think that's scary. I think that's fine.
It's fine, but because their means of political communications is using the old school method of these medias.
Yeah, for sure, that's an issue. But I'm saying the reason why I'm fine with that is because rural people as a whole don't get economic power and say in stuff in terms of the market, right? Because they're a rural area. Why would you, as the market, try to appeal to a rural area? So that's why, like, in terms of political representation, I'm fine with rural areas having more representation.
Yeah.
Because their lifestyle and their way of voice. No, their lifestyle needs a voice.
Yes.
Right. You can't just ignore that.
You can't just ignore it.
What's up? You see?
Man.
What's up?
Like, this episode has been very overwhelming.
It's so interesting also because like they also have they recently now post up the map of which electoral districts voted and what color, and surprisingly enough, Saskatchewan, the northern part, were all NDP.
Nice. What's their color? Sorry,
like
orange.
Orange.
Yeah, orange.
I thought that was like is that the red one?
Red is liberals.
Red is red liberals?
Yeah, red is liberals, blue is conservatives, and orange is the new Democratic Party. And it's pretty surprising, like mostly the northern part and some of northern part of Manitoba also.
And you could also argue that American politics has more influence globally.
Yes. Yes.
That's another reason.
That's
why. I
why.
tune in to American politics.
Oh yes.
Because not does it only affect America,
but it
literally affects.
There's the strands, the waves that comes from America also affects other propagates throughout every hemisphere. Because the United States is a global superpower. Yeah. We're still in a American
Canada,
empire.
not so much. But I'm just saying, like, that's why I tuned into American politics.
But we're still in a America empire.
Voice themselves enough.
It's not necessarily their voice. It's just we're just not as big.
Yeah.
Also. Like we have the population of Tokyo, and the second world's largest country.
In a much larger country.
Yeah.
But they fit in the city. We fit in
the population of New York is the population of Western Canada.
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
Yeah.
Plus, like honestly, I feel like we have more in common with American lifestyles.
So they just shoehorn us in.
See,
like me personally, I feel like I have more in common with Americans.
Yes.
Than other Canadians.
I feel like that's more how Alberta is more closely to America.
You think so?
Yeah, that's how I feel it.
Oh, because we
that's
also
how I
share
see
a lot of like trade deals.
That's how I see it. Because as soon as you go out of the province and go to BC or Manitoba's or even Ontario, it's
Canada.
It's a just mixed situation. It's Canada. Like you feel the socialism in there.
It's Canada.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily feel.
And Alberta.
Well, I'm not talking about socialism, EJ. I'm talking about like strictly cultural values.
Yeah, cultural values.
Like what people consume in terms of like media, in terms of like what people like watching on TV, or like what media or like what games we play. Or like, I feel like we have more in tie with Americans than the rest of other Canadians. I watch the NBA. I don't watch NHL hockey. I don't watch Canadian football. Like,
we definitely don't watch lacrosse.
I definitely don't watch
lacrosse.
Like I'm saying, those are all very Canadian things that I don't hold ties with.
To it. Yeah.
So when an American is like, "Hey, you want to talk basketball?" I'll be like, "Hey, well, okay, let's talk."
Like, it's remember the
especially music.
Yeah, especially music. Especially music. And like remember the discussion I had with my professor, how like we were talking about basketball because like there's a lot of there's a lot of black students in my class. Yeah. And we generally love talking about basketball. And then he comes in and is like, you know who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Steve Nash.
Hell yeah.
And he's Canadian.
Yeah. Oh. No, I just know him just because I can't say Kobe anymore when I joke it. I say Steve Nash.
Like I agree to the testament that we feel like more American than Canadians, but like the more I interact with all of these people in Nate, the more I see like our mom is more Canadian than American.
Yeah, you're right.
Our dad is more Canadian than American.
Yeah, you're
right. We are so we consume so much content that has been Americanized.
Yeah.
That we feel more attuned to American rather than Canadian politics became in general.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm trying to like figure out what's my identity. Where should I be more involved in these Canadian things? Do I define myself as a Canadian and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's what I've been going through in school lately.
That's good. That's good. It's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah. Like,
what about you, friend? You seemed a little quiet in there. Chair. What about you, John?
Like,
what's up?
Yeah.
I'm not used to this kind of emotions.
That's why I was so disappointed when you didn't vote.
When I didn't vote?
Yeah.
Because I felt like a disenfranchised voter.
I understand that. But like,
plus, I'm completely uninformed.
Yeah, you're completely uninformed.
Like I said, I'd like to be prepared if I were to do something.
And I'm wondering, why didn't you
prepare? Because I'm a disenfranchised voter. I don't care for that stuff. I feel like it has no impact on my life, even though it does.
Yeah, because it did impact your life now. Because when you're gonna go to school, you're gonna have an increase of tuition.
You say technically it impacts my life. Yeah, sure, but at the same time, like, those are my parents.
Yeah.
As disheartening as that sounds, it's like those are the fees that my parents have to deal with. Like, it's still an externality for me. I haven't internalized that. You know what I mean? You've kind of internalized it, but I haven't internalized anything. Canadian.
Yeah,
wise.
Canadian wise. The only Canadian thing that you internalize is the Letter Kenny show.
Yeah,
also the fact that he lives here.
Yeah, that and I live here.
Yeah.
I don't really gel well with. Well, I can gel well with most people, but I don't really open up to like
Canadians.
No.
It's not even open up to Canadians. Like, I don't know. I just don't particularly like talking about Canada stuff, unless it was about the Raptors, because that was a whole sensation. But I mean, like, Canadian things, it just seem.
I still love American sport.
Yeah.
No, NBA is a Canadian.
NBA isn't a Canadian sport.
A Canadian invented the sport of basketball.
Yeah.
The
Larry O'Brien trophy is supposed to be where it's supposed to be, in Canada.
I've just been thinking about the whole Alberta and Saskatchewan pulling a Quebec, as I say.
They wanted to
see. Like, what the fuck?
Manitoba's also in the same boat, and British Columbia also is in the same boat.
BC too?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And
where are we gonna go?
It's not gonna. I feel like this stems from the pipeline issue that's been happening for the past 10 years.
Yeah, I get that, but like one.
That's another thing. I'm not really involved in local politics either, so I don't feel personally invested. Most people are. No, I say most people. The people who are invested really do feel Canadian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't particularly feel invested.
Yeah, that's what I'm conflicting right now, because I'm now.
You're becoming more invested.
Yeah, not only becoming more invested, but like I'm being more exposed to all of these political mishaps and happens around me, and so if I don't acknowledge them, then
you're just running away.
I'm just running away from a problem. So like every single day, I'll be asked. I literally be talking to my professor, and he'll be telling me all these kind of mishaps, these actions that's happening around Alberta. Then there'll be like cases like I'll be sitting in the train, and I'll be start noticing, oh, there's poster signs people are carrying around. Oh, there's picket signs people are carrying around. Then I'm thinking more and more, and then we pass by Granite Station, and there's a huge flush of people leaving with picket signs. Like, oh, there's going to be a climate protest there. It's those subtle things that start picking up.
You were saying though, before we interrupt you,
just okay. First,
stuck on secession.
Yeah, it's just okay. First, the whole Western Canada wanting out.
Yeah.
Like, one, that's never going to happen.
I mean, who knows?
Quebec has been pushing it for the past 75 years.
But like, I feel like that's never going to happen. And at the same time, but the fact that like this is a thing that a province that I live in is going through is like, what is that? Like, one, I'm disinformed, so I'm like shocked.
Yeah.
And two, it's just like,
it's shattering your world.
Dude, there's a whole entire party on that. When I looked this up, there is a whole entire party in Alberta.
I live with figurative
the new Alberta Party. That's their main goal is the secession.
I don't even know if I'm saying the word right.
I don't even know if it's. But
I might have been saying it wrong.
I know. But like
pulling a Quebec, they want out.
Yeah,
they want the Brexit version of Alberta.
But there is a whole entire party. and they've been gaining a lot of supporters.
You guys have to realize that I live with figurative horse blinders, and you just took it off. No, it's
like I've been
it out of the side of my eyes.
I've been noticing this since last semester at the start of my first year.
You're more exposed to this kind of stuff.
When I rode the trains, I've been seeing these posters of new Alberta Party.
What's the fact that I live in this province and this is going to affect me one way or another? Like, I just don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff, you know?
Also, we're going through an opioid crisis.
Yeah, there's that also.
Yeah, that's another reason why I feel American.
Because drug crisis?
Yeah, because a lot of Midwestern American states are going through an entire opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
That's another issue.
Is this happening? Is it happening in Alberta?
Yeah.
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl, dude.
This has been like that for years now.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going through the entire opioid epidemic in
also,
Alberta.
Which got me...
I watched a documentary on Vice.
Yeah.
Vice had a documentary on fentanyl.
Yeah.
In Alberta.
Oh, okay. Nice. That makes more sense then.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I was like, damn, this is a thing?
Yeah.
We're going through a drug crisis?
No, I just knew that because I watched the news.
I know, but I don't consume news, and somehow I managed to figure it out based on Vice documentaries.
Wait, how
I don't watch Vice documentaries, but then I was like, oh wait, this is Alberta. This is where I live.
Yeah, is it?
Quite literally, Calgary and Edmonton were prominent places shown in the documentary. And I'm like, that's the bridge that I walk across from time to time. And I was just like, fuck, people are dying of fentanyl in my city? Like, crazy.
I live here. But yeah, like, which got me to my next train of thoughts, like, is I shouldn't be coping.
What? No, you should be coping.
Coping mechanism shouldn't be a thing because for me that's like an escape.
It is. It's supposed to be.
That's not a good thing. No, because that's not a good thing.
No. Okay. So once again, you need to understand that incremental progress is good progress. Shock value and shock therapy isn't the way to go when you learn new things. I'm sorry to say.
You're not learning if you're doing shock therapy.
It's better than escaping it, though.
No,
but that's incremental progress.
It'll do more damage to you rather than you actually understanding.
I feel like I always want to cling back to whatever's more comfortable.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
No, I don't feel like
you just need to realize that eventually your box is gonna get bigger and bigger, and the boundaries where you draw when it comes
gets bigger and bigger,
become
bigger and bigger. Like my box of comfort now gotten bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you used to be like non-responsive and non-receptive to anything that I said.
Me?
Both of you.
Both of us. And
like, you guys are completely different people from the moment you went into Center High.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't socialize when you guys went to Center High.
Yeah, it's true. Because I didn't know where you lived.
No, but I'm just saying, as a whole, like, we're completely different people.
It's true. No, I'm just...
And for the better.
And, like, I would never think of myself I actually talk about politics to other people, bring it up to other people.
It's true.
Making them feel uncomfortable the things I'm feeling uncomfortable about.
Yeah, I feel like I'm...
Yeah, dude, misery loves company.
Yeah. Like...
Just spread that misery.
No, I don't
know. Here's something crazy. Like, the professor that's teaching me process control, and he's not a really great teacher.
Yeah.
He is also running as a conservative MP for Sherwood Park.
Oh, that's crazy.
He lost.
Yeah, because he doesn't speak French.
But like, it's a crazy thought that like this teacher that has a hard time teaching us.
Yeah.
Is running for politics for
you're
MP.
saying this man who's completely inadequate for his position.
Yes.
Is running for a more difficult and qualifying position. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Oh, that's the realization that we're trying to come to.
Yeah.
So people who think they're good enough for specific, like a very important job, are not good enough for that job and are still applying.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Like
that is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's plenty. This goes back to the topic where I was like, there's plenty of people who would just go hitchhiking, or plenty of people who would just train jump, or like go sailing without any sort of nautical knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's funny.
But
yeah,
the same types of
dude,
people.
this is my professor basically,
I know.
and like
the same types of people.
and we like my colleagues are talking about this. Is like, fucking, this is crazy. Like to think we have a professor that is that individual.
Yeah.
And we're like, what could it be to the other professor that's actually really, really good at teaching?
Yeah, no, it's the standby effect.
Who's constantly talking about
It's not the standby effect. It's the bystander effect.
The bystander.
It's when you think somebody else is going to take up the mantle and take up the challenge to do it, but everybody has the same bystander mentality and no one does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like people fucking recording shit on their phone and not actually helping people getting beaten up.
Yeah. Bystander effect. Man.
Bystander.
No, I just.
What's up?
I don't know how to break my negative feedback loop. That's the main.
Take a break. That's the
I
way.
don't. I feel like that just feeds the loop. Though.
No, it doesn't feed the loop. Taking a break lets you regather your thoughts and lets you reinvigorate yourself so that you can have the energy to take on those challenges.
It's like learning, John.
Yeah, it's like learning.
You have to take breaks to actually absorb all the knowledge that you just recently learned.
And sleep it off. You gotta sleep it off.
And then once you woke up, then
you have to repeat.
You have to repeat to instill those kind of ideas and those habits.
Yeah, no, I don't know how to start that.
Like I've been doing
this
that.
Is a start, but I don't feel like it's. Once again, it's
fast
negative.
enough.
Yeah, it's negative feedback loop. Catch-22. Yeah, like there's too much negativity.
At a certain point, I don't know when, but you'll cross this threshold where you're like, all those little steps that I made, those were good steps, and those are the right steps, and those are the way that I should keep going.
Yeah, like
because you also need to realize that your small steps at the beginning may seem small, but the more you become accustomed to being uncomfortable, the more you become accustomed to learning new things and confronting new things, the larger your steps are going to be as you grow.
I feel like let's say after this podcast I take a break.
Yeah.
Right? And the next time we talk about this, I feel like I'm just gonna repeat myself. I'm just gonna be shocked again. It's like, oh my god. Like this is the world that I live in now. Like I don't wanna go through that though. Like because it's not healthy. It's not
then you have to take it upon yourself to just look at a specific article.
Yeah, like
tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to be
you have to click that one article that you're going to dislike, and it's probably going to be inane and boring. And
but no, here's the thing though, like
banal.
I have a hard time trusting shit on the internet.
Yeah.
Like if I see an article, it's like that's clickbait, so therefore, like I'm not.
That's fine, but I'm saying you need to be able to pass that hump that you have, and just be like, okay, I'm going to click on this thing.
Don't want to have that mentality of I wasted my time reading another clickbait article.
Dude,
you just gotta get used to that.
When
I've read so many useless pieces of shit.
Oh, what?
Like as a whole, do you know how much nonsense manga I read?
A lot.
That's different.
How is that different?
That's different because
there's so much useless manga that I read because I know there might be hidden. Yeah, but you don't do that with entertainment. You don't. Do you? You would much rather look up a review and make sure that this piece of entertainment is going to.
No, I don't read reviews. I just avoid it entirely.
Just like I do what Edric does. I'll go through useless amount of manga to find the one I want.
Okay. I just feel like. No, but. Okay, let me just gather my thought for like 5 seconds.
Okay. What were you gonna say, EJ?
I was about to say that, like the time when I felt super uncomfortable about the Alberta thing. I took upon myself to be more informed, more.
Yeah. He felt super uncomfortable. He got really angry that morning, and I'm like, "Why are you so angry?" He's like, "I don't know why I'm angry. I'm leaving." So he left.
And then
he cooled off, thought about it, and was like, "Oh, this is why I'm angry." I talked to some people. They articulated the reasons why I was angry. I couldn't necessarily say them myself, but when I was bouncing ideas off of other people, it finally came out. The thing that I wanted to say, the thing that was on top of my tongue, I could not say it. I was tongue-tied.
Yeah. Finally
came out. The cat stopped. He let go of my tongue. And now I could hold the cat and show it to my brother and be like, This is the reason why you're wrong. And I'm like, wow, you're right. That cat is very nice looking.
Good analogy.
You have a good cat there. I agree with you.
Good analogy. Also, as I was I think I'm.
I felt so much better after figuring out why, and after talking to my friends.
Yeah, you bolted out of there like
I know. I was
furious.
no, I wasn't furious. I was so uncomfortable. Like I was so internally conflicted. Like I'm trying to figure out why I'm so internally conflicted. And as much as you're bombarding me these facts, I'm like, I need to figure out myself, dude. Leave me alone for a minute.
And he just stormed down the house. he was quite literally stomping his way down the driveway, and then at a certain point he just got tired and was like, okay, I'm gonna think about it.
Like I sat in train and just like thought, like let it sat there.
Yeah. So regarding my problems with clickbaity articles and the fact that I'm not giving myself the benefit of the doubt, and your analogy with manga, I feel like it's a good analogy. It's just like I feel like the end goal is still the same. Like you want to like try out new things. I was just like I just found that like the analogy that you used, even though it was good, I feel like that wasn't
applicable.
Yeah, like it is because the end game is basically the same.
Yeah,
but like I just feel like you could do something like more parallel
books,
kind of thing. Yeah,
movies.
Not entertainment.
Anime.
No, that's not what I mean.
Not
like,
anime.
Yeah.
It needs to be something specifically learning.
No, yeah, like basically like using once again the end game's the same.
Yeah.
Like you want to learn.
Yeah,
something. You want to achieve something.
Yeah, I look up videos in biology. I don't want.
Yeah, but because what I was getting is like with like because you were like saying like if you're not like okay with just like coping, maybe you could just simmer down for like a day, which once again I'm not really okay with personally on a personal level, but like and then go through articles and stuff like that. Like that's more like because I want like it's I don't want to use the word enlightening because entertaining could be enlightening too, like like but you know what I mean, like
I don't necessarily know where you're going with this point.
No, because like
I don't know.
Let's say I simmer down.
Yes.
And then I say, okay, I'm gonna look through some articles, even though I'm gonna give myself the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm learning something about like politics and stuff like that.
But the thing is like you're talking like as if you have to go through like at least 10 articles.
No, it's not that. No, it's just like even if it's going through one article.
Yeah,
like,
you should have to go through the one, and if it wasn't good, it wasn't good, and then you just leave it there. And then the next day, maybe you decide, okay, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna go for the next article.
I think this once again goes back to my upbringing and stuff. Like I'm wasting time.
You feel like you're wasting time.
You feel like we're wasting time, but in retrospect, you're gonna be able to see it. Well, okay, so these are the things that you're not supposed to do in an article, and these are the things that you are supposed to do in an article.
Setting a logo for your stream.
In the spirit of spooky, best one so far for me. Great job. I'm about to design.
Oh fuck! It's a spam. It's a spam. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's spam.
If there's a moderator, fucking block this guy. Fuck you.
Wait, what? How do you know it's spam?
Oh, because Oh yeah. Because something exactly like this happened while I was streaming.
Dude, just give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, I refuse. Hey. I knew it.
Check out the
fuck this guy.
Hey, don't. Why are you so mean to people?
Fuck! It's a spam bot, dude.
No, he's definitely.
It's a spam bot.
Anyways, continue on.
Even if he's a spam bot, be nice to spam bots.
I refuse.
They're gonna become our corporate overlords.
No.
So you gotta be nice to the bots.
I'm gonna rise up.
Anyways, back what you were saying earlier, Edric.
About the articles and how you should just be doing one, and how retrospectively that you can figure out a lesson.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to tell whether or not you learned a lesson immediately.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, even if you don't learn the lesson, then that's fine too. Because sometimes it takes multiple failures and tries for you to learn a lesson.
And start becoming efficient at it.
Yeah.
Because everybody starts inefficient at the very start.
Yes.
Learning the foundation, you're gonna stumble a lot learning the foundation or learning the
thing that you're gonna hate the most is that you're bad at it.
Yes.
Once you get good at it, then you'll be like, oh, this is a breeze. It goes back to the whole, your incremental steps at the beginning are going to be the most painful growing pains. But as soon as you're past that and you get into the groove of things, then things are going to become easier.
Yeah.
The growing pains are going to suck. I'm not denying that. And this whole idea that you want to face the challenges head on is like I commend you and admire you that you have the spirit and the will, and
I don't have the will.
You have the spirit and the intention
to do it.
That's how you want to approach things. But the thing is that it's difficult to maintain that intention throughout. So just do it the easy way and do it incrementally. Easy way is fine.
No, it's not even easy still.
No, but that is the easiest.
It seems easy, but it's the longest and most arduous way to do it.
There are definitely harder ways of doing it, which is like just sitting down and doing it for 10 hours and then sleeping and then doing it the next day for 10 hours. Like that's definitely harder.
That's definitely harder.
I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is just you gotta
take it slow.
One clickbait. If you think it's clickbait and you think it's not real, just click it and then dispel all of your
biases.
Not biases. Dispel all of the reasons as to why it was clickbait and write down why it was clickbait, and that's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Whenever I seek
what
agreement,
yeah,
or some sort of like connection,
yeah,
I go high pitch and I go. Right,
You're like mom.
Yeah.
She has a.
When I think it's like
she has a certain cadence.
Not a cadence, but the pitch.
Are you like Stewie?
Everyone's in agreement.
Yeah, like Stewie Griffin.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No, not that. Not the like the consoling.
I know.
It's more consoling.
But this is more of.
This is more like in agreement, looking for a general consensus, asking everyone.
So we're fine here. Are you sure?
Is everyone okay?
Yeah.
I don't feel okay. This podcast has been wiped me out, man.
It's hard hitting, gut punching.
Fucking dude, life's
Edric's been hitting you with the left, and then the right came right at you.
He's been hitting me with only haymakers.
And then I pulled down your pants and then hit you below the belt.
That's a legal move.
It is a legal move, but it hit you.
Where am I ref at though? But yeah, I don't know. I want to think about it, but there's always that thought saying, just fucking high bleach.
It's fine. That thought is eventually going to go away if you ignore it and you just push past it and you do the things that you feel like you need to do.
Yeah. I know. That's the hard part.
Just pushing past it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the hard part.
I think this is a good time to stop it now.
Yeah, this was a great spooky podcast, boys. Having that dread of existentialism.
Definitely spooked.
This topic is yours, John.
I know. Okay, so
you don't need to feel like you have to say your topic right now.
Like you still have like
an entire
weekend.
No, like I have a general idea.
Okay.
Place.
Okay.
I just because it was a me problem. Because I was all like, oh, I'm gonna I already have the thing. It's got to get the detail, and I know exactly what to do. I didn't do it.
Nice.
Yes.
Fuck.
It's okay.
So the
you
general.
still have time.
You still have.
I know. I'm gonna give you the general rundown of what we're gonna do.
Okay.
We're gonna be. We're going back to the anime, boys.
That's fine. That's fine.
However, with a twist.
Which is.
We're gonna be watching the first episode of Made in Abyss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude. I've always meant to read that manga and watch the anime.
Aha.
But
You
there's
the
a but.
art style fucking threw me for a spin, and I was like, I'm not watching this. Here's my excuse to watch it.
So we're gonna be watching the first episode of Made in Abyss.
Yeah,
However,
yeah,
we're also.
I hear it's critically acclaimed, so.
That's sure. Also,
yeah,
we're going to be watching X number of chapters in the first volume of Made in Abyss. I only say X because I didn't watch.
Figured it out yet.
No, because I don't know like how long the episode goes for first episode, and that
sure.
like
and then you want to
parallel with like the
that
exact number of the chapters, right? Because I don't want you guys to overread or overwatch kind of thing.
Usually the first episode only takes about the first 3 to 5 chapters.
Depends. Like if it's like episodic, like Hakumen to Mikachi, which is like one of the best animes I've ever watched.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a slice of life about woodland creatures who are like elves. It's fucking good.
I hate elves out of principle.
They're not even elves. They're like little woodland spirits.
Okay.
Like wisps.
Wisps. No, not wisps.
I like
they're like fairies.
I like fairies.
Speaking of,
because it's spelled F-A-E.
Yeah.
Not like
fairies.
Yeah. Not like fairy. Like
Could you? Yeah.
I'm saying like this. If it's episodic like that, it's like two chapters is one episode.
So but yeah.
So it depends.
So basically, that's what we're doing. the first episode of Made in Abyss and X chapter of the manga.
However many chapters of the manga was in the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
You could do either. It's probably better just to read the...
No, we're going to do both.
It's probably better just to watch the anime and then read the chapter, because then you'll know when to stop.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a comparison because adaptation is huge in any medium.
Yeah.
Movies to books, books to movies, games, etc. I just want to know...
Movies to books?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me one. Don't say like Spider-Man 1.
No. I can't remember what movie was it.
I just can't think some off the top of my head.
I know. I can't think of.
50 Shades of Grey, even though it's the exact opposite.
But there are movies that turn into books.
Anyway, you're saying adaptations are like a key thing.
We're gonna be talking about like how well the
what does it mean to be authentic to an adaptation?
Like, because
what parts of the adaptation like emphasizes the media?
Yeah.
What they cut out. Is it in the spirit, or is it a 1-to-1 translation adaptation?
Yeah, because like also there are particular forms of the media that the other doesn't offer. Like
exactly.
Sound and visuals and movie and animation in anime, and you don't get that in
it's limited
style. But at the same time, you don't get the same sort of set pieces that you get in
animation, manga even.
No, I'm saying like things are framed very particularly, and it's easy to emphasize and make a set piece, and you wouldn't necessarily get that sort of same. Like you wouldn't be able to employ the same techniques to get the same effect in cinema. Yeah.
So we're gonna be doing that in the spirit of spookiness, because Made in Abyss is pretty spooks.
Oh, is it? I thought it was more
spoilers! Zip!
I thought it was more wholesome.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay,
that's what we're gonna be doing. I hope. Thank you for Jamie.
Can't wait for my topic.
And the one spam bot.
Dude, if he's
your spam bots.
No, dude, this guy's fine. Okay, I'm fine with spam.
Jamie Jones.
Anyone who's willing to interact with us, despite how
even if it's an automated message. Yeah. That's what I got for Yakuza 0.
Yeah. Automated message is fine.
No.
The only problem I have is robocallers. I do not want to deal with robocallers because I get emotionally invested in phone calls. Robocallers.
No, I just
like when an automated message tells me, "Hey, you won." I get
or say you have a security breach on your SIN number.
No, the reason why I get emotionally invested because it's a phone call and I think someone important has to call me, and then I realize it's a robocall.
It's the exact opposite. I refuse every call that
I refuse every call too, but I mean, like if I'm out and about.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been getting a lot of IRS calls. It's like, so you're like, there's gonna be like a court thing, and not responding is going to be like against the law. It's like, yeah, come and get me, bitch.
Is that what you say?
No, it's a machine, so I just hang up immediately.
Yeah, you should.
Or I just let the answering machine sort everything through.
You should also. You can report that also.
Yeah, you should probably report.
You should be reporting that.
That's the IRS.
Will do.
Like I send a report to TELUS and then send one to the government.
Dude,
robocalls.
Really?
Yes.
TELUS actually does that.
Yeah, TELUS collects those data, and then they can apply a filter to prevent those kind of things happening to.
Damn it! I could be stopping these robocalls
instead of perpetuating the system.
Yeah.
No, just to stop them from calling me. I don't care about other people.
No, I'm saying perpetuating it. By letting it go.
Damn it!
And then you can block it.
Anyway, we should probably get off the air. We're fine.
All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We
ramble so much; it's kind of crazy.
I'm sorry.
It's not just you, dude. I'm part of the problem.
You're also part of the problem. We're all part of the problem.
Yeah, see, like right now we're rambling. Get off the air.
Have a good night, everyone.
John's trying to make an end.
Get off the air. I got caught rambling about rambling.